So I will start us off with our first question before we turn it to the audience. So how would you describe your entrepreneurship journey in one word, and why would you choose that one word?
I would choose resiliency because you have to be willing to overcome any and all obstacles that will be in your way.
I would choose the word team because my team has been there for me in a million different ways. We support each other and we love each other.
I would say unpredictable. So many things have happened which we never expected to, and it was just a matter of sticking with it and being persistent.
Well, to my point, it was unpredictable that Kevin would use my word. I'm gonna have to, go with. I'm just gonna use unpredictable as well because in good ways you don't know what's gonna happen, and also in bad ways you don't know what obstacles you're gonna have to overcome.
Set fire to the place.
Hyphen.
Okay. My word is community driven. Just starting out, you just have the tendency to feel like you can do everything by yourself, but I quickly learned how to lean on people more experienced, advisors, mentors, and that really helped accelerate the journey.
All right, thank you. So now we're going to open it up to all of you. So if you have a question, raise your hand and we'll call on you. We got time for, I think, 3 questions. Don't all go at once. Yeah.
What was the best piece of advice you got when first coming up with your idea?
The best piece of advice you got when first coming up with your idea?
Should I go first? So one of the best pieces of advice that one of my mentors gave me was, don't be afraid to ask other people for questions or reach out, because sometimes we feel like we need to figure it all out on ourselves and it's like me versus them, but really there's a lot of people in the world. There's a lot of people who have same ideas, similar ideas, new ideas, and just talking to people, you will learn about things that you would have never known. And it can save you a lot of years from work, just having like a coffee date with an entrepreneur that you look up to, and it'll get you farther.
I can answer. So an early piece of advice is actually something that I heard but didn't listen to, like Anj. An investor told me that I couldn't get a PhD and run a startup at the same time, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend. But by being able to be at UNH and get to learn through my PhD, I've gained so many different opportunities that I never would have had that have helped me in my startup, as well as learning how to do research that has applied directly to my startup. And so I think just what people tell you that you should or shouldn't do, it's really your journey, and listen to your heart.
Wonderful. Are we going down the line?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right,
Sure.
cool. Yeah, best piece of advice, do not keep your idea a secret. The notion that you have it right from the beginning is very, very unlikely, and you benefit so much from getting feedback from other people. And someone once told me that your startup idea is almost like a baby. A baby might have let's say Tom Brady's baby, might have all the best genetics in the world, but nobody's going to come and raise that child for him, So you really just get out there and talk to your idea and get the feedback.
I would say the best piece of advice is to just keep going forward. I think especially a lot of entrepreneurs tend to be perfectionists as well, which can be very paralyzing in this kind of industry. So I think when something feels good enough, just get it out there, kind of to Kevin's point, and then from there you'll keep making your products or your service better and better.
Rule number 3.
Exactly, rule number 3.
And to Kevin's point, that's also really important. I heard that as well. That's not my thing, but really ideas, like execution is what matters, and you really improve your execution by getting other people to help you out. For me, it's being intentional with the relationships that you're building. So that's not necessarily networking, but when you do meet people, how do you keep in touch? The best thing that I think we do now is we send out these weekly, and maybe they'll go down in frequency, updates to everyone that has ever shown any interest in me or what we're working on, from friends to mentors to advisors to investors to random people who stopped by a booth and left their email. And the thing is, you're just staying top of mind for those people. You're letting them know what's up with you. A lot of those updates are things you're struggling with or need help with. And you'll always need help with stuff, but you never want to be the person who just always reaches out when they only need something. People want to feel like they've been hearing from you. They've been a part of your journey. So it might feel not that useful in the very early stages of your venture or idea to be updating people. And maybe there's not that much happening. Maybe it's monthly or it's quarterly. But having a cadence that just helps you update the people who have helped you, also as part of the always saying thank you, helps them be a lot more amenable to actually helping you when you do need help. But it's just good practice because a lot of this is relationship building.
Yeah, that's good advice. Thank you.
So we have time for one more question. So let's do right there in the black baseball cap.
So I know that all of your products or your businesses are very unique, as goes with startups. But I was wondering if you have interacted with competition in the market. How did you stand up from that or learn from other businesses in the market to make yours better?
I can go first. I think a lot of the time being a first mover is a disadvantage. So you actually gain a lot from seeing people who have kind of sort of tried to do what you were doing and have made the mistakes with a lot more capital before you and you can learn from. There isn't really that much competition in terms of much bigger players. It's really what you speak to. So when you talk to investors or people that ask you questions, they just want to see that you've thought about how you're different, but you can't really compete yet. But it's how you start out to create those differentiating, basically competitive advantages in your offering early on. But in terms of actually competing in the market, that hasn't really happened for us, at least. I think we're still too small. But in terms of how we frame our story as different from competitors, how we do things differently, that's very clear. And as we grow, it'll become a lot more evident.
Okay,
Edric.
you want to go?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've done is we actually turn our competition into collaboration. We really believe in creating win-wins. And so with our product, Kikori, it's able to complement other social emotional learning programs and make them stronger. We're also really focused on referral programs, affiliate links, building relationships. So we have featured creators who are others in the field who are doing social emotional learning programs as a part of Kikori. We invite them in and we do cross promotions. So that's one of the ways that we've turned competition into collaboration and figured out how we can work together.
Yeah, I was going to add in something also. So I think, first off, we have the benefit of there's not much competition. I think there's like 5 companies that make toilet seats in the US. Yeah, and they also buy from each other. You might not know that. They buy from each other and just relabel it. But anyways, I was going to say that the way that you can learn from competition, so even if you look at a product and you think it's really uninnovative, it's unspecial, chances are a lot of the features, the way that it's made, there was a reason for it. So if you actually really closely look at these products and talk to users of them and ask what do they value, I think you'll actually find a lot of times that something may be simple just because it didn't need to be anything more, right? So the way you can do that, once again, is looking at the product really carefully, noticing all the features, maybe the way it was made, is it expensive material, cheap material, what have you, and then talk to the users and ask, like, you know, does this fulfill your need or not? So.
Yeah, I think.
Well, I was just going to say that there is always going to be competition, no matter what field you are in. It's a really big world, so you don't want to ever focus too much on competition and let that stop you from going after what you are going after. And I also think it's really important to just stay true to your values and your brand, because that ultimately should be your differentiator from any competition.
I think to Kendra and Kevin's points, competition, you know, it's such a scary word, but I think if you think about your competitors as collaborators, like Kendra was saying, and whatever industry, like from being in fashion, I've learned that it's very tight-knit, everyone knows everyone, you know, I can tell you where so-and-so's clothes are made and so on. So just instead of reaching out to them necessarily in like this taboo, negative way, just getting in touch and learning from them, collaborating down the line, but still holding true to your unique value proposition.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just add one thing. I think is a great quote from, I think, Paul English's, like, How I Built This, or some other podcasts. But when he was asked about competition, he always said he thought his best 10 were better than their best 10, and that's his best 10 people. So a lot of the time you can win with just surrounding yourself with really smart people and really good people. So that's just another thing to really think about when you start out your venture.
All right. Thank you all so much. One more time for the Ignite speakers, ladies and gentlemen.